Ethan Cole had learned how to survive without expecting miracles. At 38, he was already tired in a way that sleep never fixed. Life had stripped him down to the essentials years ago, leaving him with a small rented apartment, a battered pickup truck that groaned every morning, and his 7-year-old daughter Lily, who was the center of his universe. His wife had passed away suddenly from an illness that moved faster than anyone expected, leaving Ethan to become both father and mother overnight. Since then, every day felt like a balancing act between grief, responsibility, and hope he refused to let die. Ethan worked 2 jobs. During the day he loaded boxes at a distribution warehouse, his hands permanently rough, his back always sore. At night, 3 times a week, he cleaned offices downtown after everyone else went home. It was honest work, but it barely kept the lights on. There were nights when he skipped dinner so Lily could have seconds, mornings when he pretended the bills stacked on the counter did not exist. Yet he smiled anyway, because Lily believed her dad could fix anything, and he never wanted that belief to fade. On the evening the storm hit, Ethan had just finished his warehouse shift. The sky had been dark all day, heavy with promise and threat. Weather alerts buzzed on phones, warning people to stay indoors, but Ethan had no choice. Lily was waiting at home with a neighbor, and he needed to pick up groceries before the shelves emptied. He pulled on his jacket, stepped into the wind, and climbed into his truck as rain began to hammer the windshield. The city changed as the storm intensified. Traffic lights flickered, streets flooded within minutes, and sirens echoed from every direction. Ethan drove slowly, gripping the steering wheel, praying the truck would not stall. As he turned onto a narrow road near the river, his headlights caught something unusual through the sheets of rain. At first, he thought it was debris. Then he realized it was a car, half submerged, angled dangerously toward the water. Ethan slowed, heart pounding. He could have driven past. Many would have. The storm was getting worse by the second, and stopping meant risk. But then he saw movement inside the car, a faint shape struggling. Without fully thinking it through, he pulled over, hazard lights blinking weakly through the downpour. The water was icy and already knee-deep as he waded toward the car. Wind pushed against him, rain stole his breath, and the roar of the river nearby sounded like a warning. Inside the vehicle was a woman, maybe in her early 30s, soaked, panicked, and trapped. The doors would not open, jammed by pressure and debris. The water kept rising. Ethan forced himself to stay calm. He used all his strength to pry the door, his muscles screaming in protest. Time felt stretched thin, like the storm itself was holding its breath. Finally, the door gave way just enough. He pulled the woman free as water rushed in, dragging her toward the current. Slipping, nearly losing his footing, Ethan wrapped an arm around her and fought his way back toward higher ground. By the time they reached the sidewalk, both were shaking uncontrollably. The woman collapsed, coughing and crying, while Ethan dropped to his knees, chest burning, rain plastering his hair to his face. Sirens grew louder, emergency lights flashing red and blue through the storm. Help arrived moments later, but the hardest part was already over. Ethan stayed only long enough to make sure the woman was alive and in capable hands. He gave no name, asked no questions. His first thought was Lily, waiting at home. Soaked, exhausted, and trembling, he returned to his truck and drove away, disappearing into the storm like nothing extraordinary had happened. The next days passed quietly, almost disappointingly so. The storm made headlines, flooded basements, damaged businesses, and knocked out power across neighborhoods. There was a brief mention of a woman rescued from a submerged car, but no details about who had saved her. Ethan watched the news while eating cheap noodles with Lily, feeling a strange mix of relief and disbelief. He did not feel like a hero. He felt sore, tired, and worried about rent. Life went on. Bills still came. Work remained relentless. Ethan's truck broke down the following week, forcing him to take buses that added hours to his already long days. Lily needed supplies for school, and Ethan quietly sold his old wedding watch to cover the cost. There were moments late at night when exhaustion pressed so heavily on his chest that he wondered how much longer he could keep going. What Ethan did not know was that the woman he saved was named Claire Hartman, and she was far from ordinary. Claire was a respected architect and the daughter of a well-known philanthropist in the city. The storm had caught her during a late site visit, and the near-death experience left her deeply shaken. For days after, she could not sleep without hearing the roar of water, could not close her eyes without seeing headlights vanish beneath the flood. But more powerful than the fear was the memory of a stranger's hands pulling her back from the edge. She had asked the paramedics about him, but no one had details. All she knew was that he had left without waiting for praise, without even giving his name. That absence bothered her more than anything else. Claire made it her mission to find him. She contacted local authorities, reviewed reports, and even posted a public message thanking the unknown man who saved her life. Weeks passed with no response. Then one rainy afternoon, a warehouse supervisor recognized the story and quietly pointed her in Ethan's direction. When Claire finally saw Ethan, it was not during a dramatic ceremony or press event. It was in the parking lot of the warehouse, during his lunch break, as he sat alone eating a simple sandwich. She recognized him immediately, though he did not recognize her at first. He looked thinner than she expected, more worn, his clothes faded from too many washes. The moment she thanked him, the pieces clicked into place. Ethan felt embarrassed, almost uncomfortable. He insisted he had only done what anyone would have done, though deep down he knew that was not true. Claire listened, really listened, as he spoke briefly about Lily and his life, never complaining, never asking for anything. What happened next did not make headlines right away. There was no instant miracle, no envelope of cash exchanged in a parking lot. Claire went home and thought deeply about what it meant to be saved by someone who expected nothing in return. She realized that repaying such a debt required more than money. It required action that would change lives, not just ease them temporarily. Over the next month, the city began to buzz with quiet rumors. A new foundation was announced, focused on supporting single parents who worked multiple jobs while raising children alone. It offered reliable childcare, transportation assistance, and emergency financial support, all without complicated barriers. At the opening press conference, reporters were stunned when Claire revealed the truth. The foundation was inspired by the man who had saved her life, a single father whose daily struggles represented thousands of invisible heroes across the city. Then she did something that shocked everyone. She publicly named Ethan Cole, invited him onto the stage, and announced that the foundation's first long-term support recipient would be his family. Not as charity, but as partnership. The foundation paid off his debts, repaired his truck, secured Lily's education fund, and offered Ethan a full-time facilities management position with stable hours and benefits through one of Claire's firm's projects. The city reacted with overwhelming emotion. Social media exploded with praise, news outlets ran features, and people lined up to donate to the foundation. But the most powerful moment happened away from cameras, when Ethan tucked Lily into bed that night and realized, for the first time in years, that tomorrow would not be a battle for survival. Ethan did not become rich. He did not leave his values behind. He kept working hard, now with dignity and breathing room. He volunteered with the foundation, helping other single parents navigate challenges he understood all too well. Lily grew up watching her father's kindness ripple outward, touching lives she would never meet. As this story draws near its end, take a moment with it. If this journey moved you, if it reminded you that small acts of courage can create waves of change, please like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your engagement helps spread stories that restore faith in humanity.